Last week we did pretty good. So we're back with another prediction video. So UFC London, Evloev versus Murphy. Let's just get it started. First, Melissa Mullins versus Luana Carolina. I'm going to have to go Mullins on this one. She does have the home court advantage. She does have the better KD. And honestly, she just looks a lot bigger and stronger. So I'm just going to go by her by decision. Next, we have Chanel Dyer versus Ravenna Oliveira. I'm going to have to go Dyer on this one. She lost her Dana White Contender Series belt. So I'm not really sure how she got the contract. But anyway, she has a pretty good record, 6-1. Ravenna Oliveira, she lost every single one of her UFC bouts. I'm going to have to give it to Dyer. She's also 24, so it's a lot younger. And she does have home court advantage on top of that. Now that that's over with, time to get into some deeper kind of observations. So we have Shamrock versus Ali Al Sawadi. Or Abdul, sorry. Anyways, I'm going to have to go with Shamrock on this one. He does have the better record. Almost the same anyways. But he does have the height advantage and the reach advantage. And honestly, I'd give him the grappling advantage too. But the biggest thing he has over him is also Wadi hasn't fought since March 2024. And I think he's going to be a little bit ring rusted. So I'm going to give it to Shamrock. Either a submission or he's just going to smother him to a decision, honestly. Next, Louis Sutherland versus Brando Perisic. I'm going to go with the sneaky little underdog pick and go Louis Sutherland. I say this because every time we see a tall heavyweight with a good record that wins off a KO, he usually gets KO'd his last fight. Example, Taliesin Teixeira, whatever you say his name. Sutherland obviously has the power for it. He's literally weighs in at the cap, 265. And honestly, yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Sutherland by probably round 1 or round 2 KO. Next, Antonio Trocoli versus Montes Crondavachis. Anyways, I'm not going to go too deep in this one. I'm going to give it to the other guy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name again. Trocoli, honestly, give Zhang Weili a full camp. She could beat Trocoli with ease, honestly. So, yeah. Probably going to go Crondavachis by KO. Round 2, I'm going to say. Next, Mario Pinto versus Felipe Franco. And this is honestly a banger fight. 2 heavyweights with good records, which is honestly rare these days. I am going to have to give it to Pinto. He does have more UFC experience. He has better wins. Example, Jonta Diniz. Pinto is honestly also an athletic heavyweight. Felipe Franco also looks like a monster, just to mention, in his Tapology picture. So, looks like he has some good grappling game. But, yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Pinto. Honestly, I'm going to give it by decision. Yeah, I'm going to give it by decision. Maybe just smothering match with a bit of striking on the feet. Yeah. Another banger fight, Nathaniel Wood versus Losane Keita. Sneaky little pick. I'm going to go with Keita. He's a champion off, what is it called? You know what I'm talking about. He's a double champion there. Nathaniel Wood, he has been winning, but honestly, his last few matches, he's not looking the best. He did get a win off Jose Delgado, which is not really aging well. Delgado got the win last fight, but he didn't look that good against Philly, which Philly, come on. If you can't crack Philly and you're supposedly, going to be this guy with huge power, come on. He also has a win over Charrier, which is a really good win. But I'm going to have to give it to Keita because, I don't know, he just feels special, I'm not going to lie. I feel like he can make a really good run in the UFC after his, whatever happened with his Pitbull fight. I think he would have won against Pitbull easily. Next, Mason Jones versus Axel Sola. Axel Sola with an 11-0 record, which is pretty scary, honestly. But I'm going to have to give it to Mason Jones. He has more UFC experience. He has the power. I haven't seen too much film on Sola, but he does have a lot of finishes. Honestly, not that much. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Mason Jones. He does kind of have a bit of a fraudulent win with the Jeremy Stephens. Like, I don't know what that fight was. But the Balaji Oki win was really good. He came back from getting dropped. Almost lost, came back with a KO. I think he's going to spark Sola. This usually happens with these young, especially French prospects. Like, it's just like kind of guaranteed. It's just a matter of when like one of these French prospects get fraud checked. Like, it's genuinely a part of the cycle. Anyways, yeah, Mason Jones, I'm gonna do by KO. Next, Curtis Campbell on his UFC debut. Never heard of him before. His nickname is the Pink Panther for some odd reason. Versus Danny Silva. I'm going to have to give it to Campbell. He looks like a good prospect. Also, mind you, Danny Silva, he went to decision with Vallejos, which, you know, that loss is aging well. But before that, if you look at it, split decision with Lucas Almeida, split decision with Josh Kulabau. Like, these are random dudes, like, that you're supposed to win if you're a prospect, like, dominantly. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give it to this Curtis Campbell, dude. He's shorter, but he does have the reach advantage. He also has 5 KOs out of his 8 wins. So, I'm going to have to give it to Campbell by... I think he's gonna get a very powerful decision. Like, he's gonna drop Silva maybe once or twice, just put the pressure on him. Or I've never seen him even fight, so maybe you might just grapple him. I'm not too sure, honestly. Another great fight, we have Roman Dolidze versus Christian Leroy Duncan. You see, Dolidze, before the Hernandez fight, he was going on a pretty Mickey Mouse run, I'm not going to lie. A win against Anthony Smith. Okay, that's not valued that high. Kevin Holland, he won against Kevin Holland in a rib injury. He, like, broke Kevin Holland's rib, which he caused the injury, but come on. Like, next, and then an all-time classic beat Marvin Vettori in 5 rounds, but, like, you know, who can't really beat Marvin Vettori nowadays, but... Yeah, we saw him get exposed against Anthony Hernandez, especially in the grappling. But I'm going to have to give it to Christian Leroy Duncan. He has that win off Marco Tulio, which was... I rate Marco Tulio really highly. And don't get me wrong, Duncan's also has wins over Eric Anders, who just retired and stuff. Like, he doesn't have the best run either. But I feel like he has a power, and honestly, Dolidze is hard to put out, so I'm going to say Duncan by decision. Iwo Bariansuski, you know what I'm talking about, Bariansuski versus Austin Lane. When I first saw this matchup, I honestly just laughed. I'm going to have to give it to Iwo, round 1 KO. Austin Lane, if you lose to Austin Lane, you should not be in the UFC one bit. Rebellas de Spain. So I'm going to have it to... Yeah, obviously I'm going to give it to EO round 1 KO. Just to put more confidence in this pick, if anyone's scared for whatever reason. EO is coming off a crazy win against Ibo Aslan. However you say his name. I really need to get better at pronunciating. Anyways. Ibo, that's a good win. He has been kind of on a losing streak, but before that, Ibo was looking pretty scary, I'm not going to lie. Okay. Next fight. Amazing fight. Is it amazing? Who knows? It's kind of up in the air. Michael Venom Page versus Sam Patterson. Michael Venom Page fighting way down the rankings, fighting someone unranked actually, and Sam Patterson, who is going on quite a run since he, I think, moved up weight classes. Yeah, all by finishes, 4 wins in a row, all by finishes. So this is a pretty tough fight to call. Michael Venom Page, he's not really. I can't really say he's not chinny. He just doesn't really get hit a lot, so it's hard to say. But I'm gonna have to go Michael Page by decision. Sam Patterson, although he's on the come up, I think Page is gonna kind of show him some levels. But I'm not counting Patterson out. He can genuinely. I know Gary couldn't get the sub on Page, but I feel like Patterson probably has a better submission game than Gary. So, yeah, it is a really risky fight for Page, but I think he is going to get a decision because, mind you this, Page is also 38. He's almost 10 years older than Patterson, but it also means he has more experience. He's probably fought a bunch of Sam Pattersons before in his career, so I'm going to give it to Page pretty confidently. But I'm not counting out Patterson when I say confidently. Co-main event, Luke Riley versus Michael Aswell Jr. So, let me start with Michael Aswell. He looked really good against Lucas Almeida his last fight. He got the KO. Before that, he lost to Balaji Oki, which it's not aging the best. But this is the thing. He went split decision and lost with Bogdan Grad. Luke Riley on his UFC debut. I know MMA math isn't always accurate, but anyways, Luke Riley on his MMA debut sparked Grad like it was nothing. And sheesh. You know what? I am going to give. Okay, so Michael Aswell, he's never been KO'd before, but he's not really chinny, but I don't know if I should do by KO or by decision. Honestly, I'll go Riley by decision. I feel like he's not really going to look for the KO. He's just going to try to show, his grappling game, a lot of his striking game. I think he's going to throw a lot of, 4 big punches this fight. Not like he was going against Bogdan Grad. Even against Bogdan Grad, he wasn't throwing, overhands over the top over and over or anything. He just, what can I say? Just hooked him right in the jaw. Okay. He literally spun Grad's head back. Looked like his neck did a 360. It was honestly insane watching it. So we know this guy has power. And yeah. So Luke Riley, I'm going to say by decision, he drops him, and that's going to be the big moment of the fight that gets him the decision, or he either just KOs Michael Aswell. Main event, Movsar Evloev versus Leroy Murphy. Leroy. Oh, come on. Anyways, I hate undefeated versus undefeated fights. A lot of people love it. I hate it. Because when people see that you're undefeated for so long and then you get the loss on your record, people just look at you like you're so anyways, I'm gonna have to go Evloev by decision, honestly. Although, I'll say this, it's a hot take. I think Evloev lost the fight against Sterling. I think Sterling should have got the decision. That was his hardest fight of his career. But on the other hand, Murphy's fight, that was also looking like a really hard fight of his career against Pico. Pico was just putting the pressure on him. Honestly, I was getting pretty scared before, what happened in that fight. I don't need to remind anyone. You're probably going to see UFC poster probably 100 times a day until the fight happens. So, yeah. 2 decision merchants. think it's going to go into another decision, honestly. Like, you'd be dumb if you would say anything else, especially in a 5-rounder. And yeah, I'm going to have to go Evloev beating the 34-year-old prospect, Murphy. People don't like to talk about Evloev striking enough, honestly. People just think he's only a wrestler. No. Although against Sterling, he wasn't really striking as much. But if you look at the Arnold Allen fight, he dropped Arnold. Look at his other fights against Lopez. Like, Ige, he does utilize his wrestling like so much, obviously, but his striking isn't terrible. Murphy has a striking on the other hand, but we did see him get taken down by Josh Emmett. Even though he dominantly won that fight, that is aging so bad. Like I dare you guys to name one Josh Emmett's last win before he beat Barris Mitchell. Like, genuinely, like, did that even ever happen? Like, I don't know. We need to fact check that. But anyways, yeah, I am gonna have to go Evloev by decision. It would suck seeing Murphy loses in a non-championship fight. Like, honestly, either one of these guys should be fighting for the championship. I think it should have been Murphy. Not like, I promise you there is a slight chance, I promise, if either one of these guys win, and then especially Evloev, and then Lopez wins against Steve Garcia, we're seeing Lopez versus Volk 3. Like, genuinely, like, no exaggeration, like, that would actually happen in Perth again, or anywhere. But yeah, Murphy, I want to say what he has the upper hand on this fight. His key to winning is honestly, takedown defense. I don't rate Evloev's takedown defense all that well either. Again, I know Algel's a different level of wrestling, which is really underrated. A lot of people don't talk about. But honestly, Murphy can take Evloev down and maybe land some ground pound. That would maybe be his key. Obviously, striking on the feet, putting volume on him. But once again, yeah, I'm going Evloev. So that's it. Let me know your guys' picks. Tell me what you agree, disagree on. Sheesh. I feel like they could have put on a better card for London. Like, this is like Michael Page versus Sam Patterson once again. Like, what? Like, we just saw a really dominant matchup against Cannonier. Why are we facing someone that Cannonier would beat? Anyways, yeah, so let me know. Let me see what video let me see what video you guys would like me to make. I was thinking of tier list videos. And yeah. See ya.